Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 4 of answering questions that Christians cannot answer. If you weren't here for the last video, then I decided to make a series out of this list of questions because the list is so long that no one would have that kind of attention span, even including me. Anyway, stay tuned and let's get right to the questions. Number 11. And if it's ultimately His will, if everything is His will, why even bother praying? Okay, so this guy is asking, if everything that happens is God's will, then why even bother praying? And I would agree with that question. There's no reason to pray or do anything if God makes everything happen. There's no evidence that He does this in the Bible, but plenty of people will tell you that He does. I'm not going to go into that now, that's a whole other separate video on its own. But I will give you a verse that at least proves that good things come from God and bad things come from the enemy. The verse is John 10:10. The thief does not come for any other reason except for to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that you may have life, and life more abundantly, or more life, or life to the fullest. Does that sound like God would give us something evil? People who do not agree with the question that is stated here would say every single thing that happens is God's will. If we were God's pawns on a chessboard against the enemy, then we'd be in a world of hurt. That's all I know. So I agree with this question. Why would you pray if everything is God's will, which it is not? 12. If you have cancer, what would help you more, certain drugs or prayer? Okay, so in this question they're asking if you are sick with cancer, which would do you better, going to the doctor or praying? Well, as with the last question that was kind of like this, it's completely up to the person that is sick. Every time that Jesus healed someone in the Bible, He mentioned their faith. Your faith has made you whole, or something to that effect. And I know people would say that, well, that doesn't matter because it doesn't depend on your faith, but I'm not here to talk about them. I'm just telling you what the Bible says. So it just depends completely upon the person who is sick or the person who's praying for the person who is sick. So the answer to this question is just dependent on what your circumstances are and what you believe. 13. If you have an amputated limb, would prayer even ever bring it back? So could prayer bring back a amputated limb? I believe it could. The Bible says all things are possible with them who believe, or all things are possible with God. And I believe that means all things, and especially even in the Azusa Street revival. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's a big revival that happened like 30 or 40 years ago. In that revival, people did grow limbs back. The Bible doesn't mention that this ever happened to my knowledge, but that does not mean it did not happen. And that does not mean that it cannot happen. But the Bible says all things are possible to them who believe. So I believe, yes, limbs can grow back by praying for them. 14. If you have heard stories of these things happening, like limbs growing back, then why is there never a camera around when it happens? Yeah, there are actually cameras around whenever it happens, and I've actually seen some, and I'll probably put a video in here of a healing happening, since this guy supposedly doesn't believe that healings happen with cameras around for some reason. But anyway, yeah, healings do happen while cameras are around, and they have been happening like that since the Happy Hunters or Charles and Francis Hunter. They had a whole video series on healing and showed many healings of at their conferences and whatever. And there was also other preachers back in the 1930s and 40s that were even on TV and had healing crusades and stuff. And even Kenneth Hagin, he had videos about healing and stuff like that. So yes, there are cameras around when healings happen. 15. How come there are no cameras around when any miracle happens? Okay, so this question is asking, why are there no cameras around when any healing happens? For other healings, there's scads of videos. You can just look up videos on the internet about it, and you'll find lots of videos on healings that happen today. So there are cameras around whenever healings happen. So I hope you liked the answers that I gave for these questions, and I hope I didn't bore you to death. And I know my eyes looked puffy and tired, and they might now too, but I'm not sure what the deal was there. Anyway, for more videos like this, and hopefully more exciting than I acted on this one, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos like this coming from the Lord's Patriots.